Hey, so in this video today, we're going to talk about the cost of living in the Twin Cities. And if you stick around to the end, I'm actually going to tell you what my house physically costs each month and how those bills may or may not compare to your monthly estimates for something of similar size. Let's get to it right now. So if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in the Twin Cities, then make sure you hit subscribe and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be one of the first people to know anytime more information comes out to keep you informed about this market. My name's Chris Mosier, and I've been faithfully serving the Twin Cities and the surrounding areas for 15 years as a broker and an agent, with a focus primarily in the South Metro. But regardless of how you've come to us, whether you're looking to move within Minnesota or relocate to it, my team and myself love getting calls, texts, emails from you guys every single day. Whether you're planning to make a move in 7 days or 70 days, shoot us a message, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you and help you make a smooth transition anywhere in the Twin Cities. All right, with that being understood, let's get into today's video. So let's start off by talking about everybody's favorite conversation topic, median income. Now, this one I chose specifically to reflect one single income earner per household. And again, with the Twin Cities, because we're kind of unique in the sense that there are literally two of them in our metro, there actually will be some slight differences in just the little things I'll point out probably between this and the monthly rent. So the median income for Minneapolis is $35,555. I don't know why there's so many repeating fives, but I did Google this. For St. Paul, that number is $31,435. Now, you'll kind of see this across the board. You're not going to ever hear me make takeaways like Minneapolis is better or St. Paul is worse or anything like that. There are slight differences, slight disparities in how income is calculated and how different costs of rent and restaurants are. It's just kind of the way it is, but you'll find that they're all very similar. They're within, like I said, we're talking like 1 to 2% of the range of each other. So again, that's kind of where we're starting off on the average median income for people that are living here. And again, not really surprising. You'll hear me talk about my pros and cons video about the Twin Cities where, we have some pretty major employers here. There's C-Lab, Starkey, General Mills, Best Buy, Target. I mean, the list goes on. So we tend to have a lot of people that either start here, entry-level jobs right out of high school even, or college, or relocate here as they've moved up the corporate ladder. And that also tends to help keep incomes pretty consistent and unemployment pretty low. Now, if you're like me, you might like to use some of that money to go out to eat. Well, we've got options for that too. On average, the cost of a lunch is right around $18. And if you're in Minneapolis, you can find a really awesome place right underneath the Medical Arts building there near downtown called Hell's Kitchen. Nothing that I know to directly do with the concept of New York other than it kind of fits that vibe and has some just really good, lunch and brunch options. And then on the east side of things, St. Paul, not too far from the XL Energy Center, which can be a great spot if you're going to catch a game or going to catch a concert. Head over to Cassetta's, which is an amazing Italian and, fast serve pizza joint. So that's kind of like right in the range of what you'd expect for our lunches. Kind of almost exactly double was the average for dinner at $37. And as I've said before, I will never classify the Twin Cities as, quote unquote, being a foodie place to be, but we tend to have some unique restaurants with some very unique flavors. And one thing I will give the Twin Cities credit for is that they're always trying to mix things up. There's new businesses, new restaurants always coming in, trying different flavors. Some of them last a while and become staples. Some of them, concept doesn't work out, but there's still plenty of places to try it out at. And that's half the fun of being able to eat out. Another good one is talking about cost of haircuts. Now, ladies, I'm sorry, this is horribly unfair and unequal. So for men, Our average cut sits around $44 here in the Twin Cities. For women, that number is $100. And I'm sure on both sides of the fence, I'm sure ladies, you could easily tell me stories of when that number's been $150, $200 plus. And I know for a number of years, I used to just go to Great Clips and it was $12, $15 plus tip. So that's kind of the beauty, is even as I give you guys these understandings and these averages, there's enough selection, there's enough versatility in the types of businesses we have that, reflect these numbers, that you can find something either less cost or even higher quality if you're still trying to seek that out. But again, I know these are just kind of across the board averages. I have to get my hair cut. I get my hair cut pretty much every week. So yeah, finding the right barber, it makes a big difference because it adds up. Groceries are another one that I want to make sure I cover here. Probably one of the easiest starting points is to talk about eggs, which super sore subject right now. If you've been paying attention to the news, price of eggs have skyrocketed and a lot of the egg related producers are reporting record profits. But this isn't a video about profiteering during times of inflation. That's not why you came here. On average, a dozen eggs is going to range between $4.75 to about $5. And that's still going to get you, I'm bougie. So like I eat the organic and the cage free and range free if possible. And that's still at that quality of, the type of food you're considering. It's still going to be right around that range for eggs. A gallon of milk is almost around the price of gas at $3.37 a gallon. Thing of apples, a pound of apples is about $2.79 to $2.99, and then a loaf of bread is around $2.89. So again, depending on what you consume daily and where that kind of fits into your lifestyle or how you feed your family, these are the pretty standard prices we have across the board. Now, obviously, there are also outliers. Like I said in the very beginning, none of the information here is meant to be a hard, fast rule of this is exactly what it will cost. We are very, very blessed to have Costco's in quite a few locations. Sam's Club, if that's your particular flavor of discount bulk buyer. And while the rest of them, it's kind of like a smattering of, different, it's kind of like a smattering of different grocers that charge, varying prices. Target has their superstores all over the place, Hy-Vee, Byerly. So there really is something for kind of everybody, depending on where you live and really just where you desire to shop. Now, I'm hoping as I go to talk about gas, that this number doesn't wildly change between as I'm recording it here in February and when you guys actually get this. But the average cost of gas in Minnesota right now is $3.32 a gallon compared to a national average of $3.45. Now, again, higher than we've had in recent years, especially, early 2020 to 2021, kind of an unfair comparison. But if you're looking at this and you've been out in places like California where they pay $4.65 a gallon, we're still underneath that. And again, same rules apply as I mentioned. If you've got a Costco or a Sam's Club membership, on average, you're going to be able to knock down an additional 15 to sometimes as much as 30 cents. So it adds up if you find the right places and you fill up at the right times. One of the biggest things to consider when comparing apples to oranges here is what's the median rent? So as mentioned, this is again one of those places where the differences between Minneapolis and St. Paul become a little bit more apparent because the numbers are different. In Minneapolis, the median rent is $1,659. And in St. Paul, it's only $1,396. Now again, why is this? Well, there's probably two real factors that are at play here. One, there is higher population density in Minneapolis. And kind of like any simple economics conversation about supply and demand, if you have more people trying to live in one location, they know that it's desirable, they can have a higher cost of living afforded for it, or just the standard is raised to that. And secondarily, and there's a lot of commonality that the two cities share, but I'd say that there are definitely parts of St. Paul that are probably considered older. And when you have an older building, you have an older, apartment, it tends to not rent for as much as some of the up and coming or the brand newly renovated areas they put in. And both those areas, as you may have known, like any other major city, there's really no undeveloped land. Best case scenario, they're taking something that was old, getting permission, demolishing it, and putting something new in its place to build like a new set of apartments, to build a new housing complex, what have you. But when there isn't really anywhere else to go, it tends to keep those prices pretty static. If you look further east to places like New York and Boston, this is nothing to get like a 1 or 2 bedroom. So definitely a nice understanding of where the two of them kind of stack out. Now, if you're looking for a place to either go enjoy a drink before the big game, happy hour, or just a night out on the town, the average cost of a beer out here is going to be about $6 to $7, which, as I mentioned before, there's 38 breweries across the Twin Cities. Can't miss them. A special shout out if you choose to go to Bad Weather Brewing in St. Paul. My classmate Zach actually is one of the founders. But regardless of where you end up, that's about the average for it, with a cocktail going to run more around the $18 range. Now again, all these rules apply. There are ways to get ones that have happy hour specials, or maybe you get just the rail drink. But in general, that tends to be what they cost, and we tend to have a number of places that do pretty good mixology. There's even the Tattersall Distillery in Minneapolis that not only makes their own drinks there, their own spirits, but has a really amazing room to like have it all mixed together by their highly qualified staff. So a lot of places you can go to check out for that. All right, taking a hard right turn, transitioning from day drinking into gyms. But hey, some people have that lifestyle. You want to go earn all the calories you're going to consume so you can enjoy what you're doing with your life later. So I don't judge. Like I said, gyms out here is a very relative term because there are options for just about every walk of life. I personally belong to Lifetime Fitness. I choose them specifically because they have the most coverage across the metro in general. Their gyms, for Minnesota standards, tend to be some of the highest quality, have the most amenities. We're talking like, all the weights, all the systems, all the machines, but then also offer group fitness classes, have all the cardio equipment. The one I go to even has a combat room with, kickboxing and punching bags. But in general, Lifetime Fitness will run you about $140 a month. And if that's not your cup of tea, there are tons more to choose from. In Minneapolis specifically, and they're expanding, there's a really well-known bodybuilding gym called Los Campeones, which for my non-Spanish speaking friends is just champions. But they offer a paid in full option that gets it for as little as $56 a month if you pay for the year up front. Compare that to the firm, which is like yoga, cardio, and strength offerings between $59 to $175 a month. So it really just kind of depends where in the median range you want to be for what type of exercise and amenities and services you're interested in. We've got everything from Anytime Fitness, Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, like everything in between. Planet Fitness out here is renowned that if you just have one home club, you don't try to go anywhere else, and you don't need a bunch of the bells and whistles, you can pay $10 a month to work out there. So again, there really kind of is something for everybody. Moving on to the topic of childcare, on average, if you go to an actual center, it's going to run you about $375 a week out here in the Twin Cities, but it's only going to be $202 if you go to a family home. So do your research. There can definitely be some ways to kind of save some money on one of those options, depending on how it fits for your particular situation. But it gives me an opportunity within this to talk about a point that I've not really made yet on this channel that is worth highlighting. If you're watching this video to get an understanding from outside Minnesota, well, the top 3 states that relocate here outside of Minnesota themselves, well, the top 3 states that relocate here are actually Wisconsin, North Dakota, and Illinois. So if you're looking at numbers like these for childcare or even just some of the cost of living in general, you're probably not going to be too shocked because they're going to be fairly similar to what you already have going on. But places number 4 and 5, believe it or not, Texas and California, that's probably going to be some cash and money saved because a lot of what we're discussing here, including the childcare aspect, is going to be a lot less expensive. Now, to try to further provide value to you, we're going to also make a quick mention of Utility Concierge. And I'll provide links to this so you can get a look at it for yourself. Whenever you're going to make a move, these guys are absolute rock stars. It's free of charge. call them up and you explain where you're moving and when, and you give them all the details, and they'll literally walk you through, okay, when do you want the power to come on, of the options you have, who do you want to use, here's the estimates, and that's all it's got to be. And especially as you're working through the negotiation of a purchase and or a sale, to know that even if the details change, all you got to do is call them and say, the date got pushed. We're doing it now. Instead of you manually having to wait on a hold and wait on a calling tree to get through to every last service provider, absolute godsend. Can't recommend them enough, and something that I'll make sure you guys have access to make it simple for you. Well, guys, that's it for today, talking about the cost of living differences. As always, I hope that you have found this informative. I hope it's been useful, and maybe just even a little bit fun, a little amusing. We're going to continue to put out more content like this, so anything you wanted to know I didn't cover, or additional topics that you want me to address, leave a note, leave a message in the comments here. I'll be sure to respond. And again, whatever you guys are trying to do, whether you're trying to do something within the Twin Cities, whether you're trying to get over here, hey, myself, I'm a big nerd about this stuff, and I've been doing this for a while. My team and I would love to be a resource. So feel free to drop us a note, shoot us an email, and let us know how we can help you whenever the time is right. Regardless, though, thank you for watching. Look forward to more, and I will catch you at the next one. See you guys.